Welcome. This is David Boles, Human Meme. Today's topic, spending on the dead. How much is a human life worth? In a previous David Boles Blogs article, we settled on $6 a life. Because at that time in 2005, $6 was the overall price of a mother and her 2 children, who were murdered for $6.66 in a failed robbery attempt in their home. An actual $2.22 per beating heart. Now, that example may be an outlier. Things have changed in 12 years, and now people kill each other on purpose and on a whim and by mistake for no price at all. Death is free. Murder is now no money down. First month, no charge. The next bullet is on the house. And with this utter cheapening of human life, we are now left to question the larger moral matter of how much do we spend on a life that we know will end. And we're not talking about the natural hum and hue of everyday life, where we all deal with the existential fact that we'll all be dead and dying sooner than we think. No, I'm talking about the diseased and the misbegotten, the poor, the unfortunate, the cursed, the blessed, and the doomed. Healthcare is currently at the center of this issue. How much do we charge people above their capacity to earn and pay into a system that should be free for life? Putting a number on human health is the same sort of ring in hell where an actuary sits alone in a darkened room and decides that the loss of a foot is worth $250,000, but the loss of a little toe is only $15. You know what I mean. But beyond spending on health insurance and putting a price on everyone's health individually, what is the price of an opportunity? How much do we bet against time and the inevitable end? Where is the value line between money well spent and the balance wasted? Let me give you an example. A young woman enters a state-run job facilitation service where the state will pay for training and education in order to place a person back in the workforce. And the disabled are especially welcome, so they may add to the tax roll instead of merely infringing upon it. And this young woman in question is bright and a genius. And she is highly recommended by everyone she has ever touched in her life. And she's 18, and she wants to attend an Ivy League college, and she qualifies in every way for support. But she has a health condition that could kill her tomorrow, or let her live another 25 years. So, do you spend $250,000 on giving her support and tuition assistance and every other necessary thing that is unique to her station in life? Or do you pass on her and her life because the cost-to-benefit ratio is too risky? Well, if you're a banker or an actuary, you pass. If you're a human being or a social services worker, you fight for her. And you win. And the years pass by, and the young woman meets and surpasses all demands and expectations of her. She is an educational superstar. She wins every award. She is published. She is the top student in her class. And all of this is because she, above all else, she knows life, all life, is precious. And that time, her time, is limited. And she graduates with honors and accolades in 3 years and not 4. And just as she is ready to join the workforce and become a contributing member of society, she dies in her sleep. No warning, no goodbye. Just the horrible wish fulfillment of an expectation that everyone knew was overdue, but that everyone prayed would never be done. And the pall of death is always there, forever surrounding every one of us. Nobody understood the death of this young woman, but everyone knew this woman's life, the promise of her, was always risky, and the eventual end would always be paid in full. But there was still a seeping sadness that was confirmed in the everlong idea that life is cheap, and life is unfair, and life punishes only the good, while evil and darkness and cruelty always find life and a way of surviving into the next day. And after this young woman's death, the untimely excuses and reservations started to sprinkle down like droplets of tears from the mountaintop. Should the money have been spent on her? What was the point of supporting a life that was so tiny and fragile? $250,000 down the drain. And yes, even those responses are all human responses of longing and grief. What could have been? What might be? What should have never? If we'd only know then what we lost now. And so the rest of us are left to suffer together. To ask the question if the realization of a life has a finite end, a budget, a final dime. How much is too much? Where is the line between not enough and too little, drawn in blood? The only answer to this human longing is, you spend what needs to be spent to bring a life into full blossom. Even if that blooming simultaneously ends in a glowering death. We can't always fulfill wishes and grant dreams. But this young woman's wager on a life fulfilled was to finish college and get a degree, and to start to give back to a world that disowned her from birth. And she made it halfway there. She won her degree and she earned the honor of her death. But in the end, the stifling unfairness of it all still stings everyone who knew her. And while her family is proud of everything she accomplished in her short life, we all know some people who live 100 years without living a single day. And this young woman put enough verve and energy into living, scratching, struggling, to make it to the next day and the next day, but not the next one after that. And we know she paid back every hope and dollar that was owed and invested in her 100-fold. But how many other people see it that way? Too many people seem to believe the large amount of money spent on her education was good money thrown after bad. After all, we knew she was cursed from the day we met her. But that diminishes her, the self of her, and the winning of her. And that's because we all too often only value the end result, the payout, the payoff, and the winning of the world. And everything else is an almost, a close by, a good try. We need to change our thinking. People accomplish what they can, and with the right support behind them, they can live beyond your wildest dreams. And we owe it to each other to help everyone around us to live the fullest possible life, no matter the cost or encumbrances, because fate takes us each by the hand to lift us up or to settle us down. All always too soon, and all always never long enough to live up to the next dream rising beyond the horizon. Because nobody lives more than the dying. Thank you for listening. Be a human meme.